Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the YouTube channel. This is the first video in a long time, and this one is not going to be about caregiving as my last two were. Today, we're going to talk about how I'm preparing to travel for the very first time. So, I posted on social media that I am going to a conference, the SMA, which is Spinal Muscular Atrophy Conference in Anaheim, California, this year in June, and it is my very first time flying and my very first time traveling without my parents. I wanted to go through the process with everyone because I'm learning it as I go. I have so many people that have reached out to me or I have reached out to help me along the way. And so I want to take everyone else along for the process. So, a little backstory is I was reached out to by a friend. Shout out Maddie, and she's like, "Why are you not going? Now that I know you have SMA, I think you should go." And I told her that I didn't have the money to go. That's expensive flights, hotel, registration for the conference itself. All those things are very expensive. And she said that they offer scholarships to individuals who want to go but can't afford it. And she sent me the link. I applied for it, and within a week, I heard back that I got accepted. So they're covering a certain amount of money for transportation, they're covering the hotel, and they're covering the registration fee. So I live in Georgia, and I will be going to Anaheim, California, and I'm going to go through everything that I have done so far to prepare. The first step was figuring out plane tickets. So this scholarship covers $450 for me and $450 for my personal care attendant in terms of transportation. So that I knew because I'm going from Georgia to California would basically be the plane ticket. And I am personally flying into Santa Ana Airport because it is smaller and it is closer to Anaheim. I was researching the flights and I knew I wanted to fly Delta because they are, in what I've found out, the most recommended and safest airline when it comes to wheelchair users, whether it be transferring, keeping the wheelchair safe, and all those things. So there was two options when it came to getting the flights. So I could have paid for it out of pocket and then submitted the receipt to get reimbursed for that money, but that can take time. That's a lot of money up front out of my pocket and my caregiver's pocket. And if the stipend doesn't cover the entire ticket, I had to pay out of pocket. That can take longer to work out the logistics of it when it comes to getting that refund. So I found out the other option I could do was to have Cure SMA have their travel coordinator take care of it for me. So I have decided to go that route. So I sent her our names, information, and she sent me options for flights in and out of Atlanta. And once I get those booked, then I can move on to the next form of transportation, getting to and from the Santa Ana airport once we are there. The reason we chose Santa Ana airport is because if we would have flown into LAX, one, that's bigger, more chaotic. It's my first time flying. I don't want to be overwhelmed in that scenario. And also, it is 40 miles from the airport to Anaheim. And the cost to get transportation that is wheelchair accessible is really expensive. We got a little fact sheet with some information, and it was quite expensive. And we could have looked at Ubers or Lyfts, but we're not guaranteed that there will be any wheelchair accessible ones available, especially because we have to remember that we are going to a conference where a lot of the attendees will be in wheelchairs or have medical devices and assisted devices, and they might also need accessible transportation. And so it may be hard to find it when we fly in and fly out. And so we opted to go to Santa Ana because it's smaller. It would be cheaper to get a vehicle or a rental company or any kind of transportation service from there because it's only about 14 miles to the resort. I will be reaching out to this company that was told to us. I don't remember exactly what the name of it is. I'll pop it up on screen, but essentially they are a Anaheim-based travel and transportation company that has accessible vehicles, and it is only, I think, around $30 one way, which is so much better. This is obviously a way better option, especially because all that travel stipend is going to be going into the plane tickets. And so having this will be a lot easier. And once we're at the resort, we'll stay there until we leave. We're only there for 4 days, so I don't anticipate us having to use transportation anywhere else. And if I was to, we can look at Lyft and Uber when it's not as busy on registration, opening, closing days. The next thing I've worked on, and I just confirmed today as of filming this, is a Hoyer lift. I use a lift anytime I transfer to and from my chair, my bed, my shower, toilet, a swimming pool, into a car that's not wheelchair accessible. I use my Hoyer lift for everything. And there were two options. One option was I would bring my lift from home. They're not small. At its shortest, like when it's lowered all the way, it is still 4 foot and like 4 inches. We measured it recently for this. And so the option was to try to transport my own from my house down to Atlanta on the plane, and from the Santa Ana airport to the hotel, and then all back again. And I did confirm with the transportation company that it would fit in the vehicle with me, but we did not want to go this route. Like, this was not the way I wanted to do it. That would be a lot less or a lot more to deal with and try to transport. We're already going to have both of our luggages and everything else we're trying to take care of, my chair, everything. And so the other option, and the preferred option, was to find a place in or around Anaheim that had these lifts available to rent. It's expensive. I looked at some, I was researching some. If they even advertised it on their websites, they were really expensive. There was a few that I had been told to call that didn't promote it on their website for some reason. But we finally found one. This person that works at it is called At Home Medical in Anaheim. They are offering a 10% discount for individuals that are at the conference, and so that was the route we went. And the person reached out on the Facebook page and said, "Hey, we want to offer these lifts or scooters or chairs or whatever else that we have readily available to you with a discount." And so first thing today when I got up, I called, went ahead and paid for it. And for a week worth, I only need it for 4 days, but you rent it out for a week at a time. It was only $100, which is not bad at all. And since we're going to be at a hotel that's local, they deliver it and pick it up for free. And they're going to have it there waiting on me at check-in when I get there. And then we'll just leave it at the front desk when we leave, and they'll come and pick it up. And I went ahead and paid for it, reserved it, and I got the 10% off. So it was like $90 and some change for tax. And that's taken care of. That is a huge relief. That was one of my biggest things I was worried about. And also, you use a sling on these lifts, and instead of renting one, I'm going to bring mine from home because I know it fits, I know it works, I know it's secure. It's not one of the throwaway ones. And my caregiver's more comfortable with it, which is my best friend Mo. She's comfortable with this one. I'm comfortable with it. And it saves us like $60 from renting it. So I checked the website for Disneyland Hotel to ensure that the beds have access underneath them for the lift. Because this conference is for individuals with SMA and their families, there is going to be an increased number of disabled individuals at this place, of course. And so there isn't enough accessible rooms at the two hotels we're using to accommodate everyone. And so I love the way they've handled it. So you can submit for one, and so I submitted for one just for the beds to be open underneath. Upon further research, I seen that in Disneyland Hotel the beds are completely open underneath. So I actually didn't need an accessible room. I'm pretty sure the toilet will be accessible regardless. I have my lift, we'll make that work. And if worse comes to worse, they have rented out an accessible room with a Hoyer lift. You can block out an hour or an hour and a half time slots to shower, to use the bathroom, to bathe, anything you need in that room specifically, and they'll have it available at all times. One of the bathrooms in the main conference room convention area will have a Hoyer lift at all times. And so they've made sure that regardless if you get an accessible room or not, it's accessible. So those are the biggest steps I've taken so far. So what's next is I am going to be contacting Cure SMA, let them know I am going to have a lift delivered, and so they can let the hotel know. The next thing after that is practice with my wheelchair, getting it ready for the plane ride. I'm going to be filling out a form called TSA Cares, so that way I have a TSA agent with me at all times from the time I go into the airport to the time I get on the plane, and in California from the time I get off the plane until I leave the airport, and then vice versa. So that way they can answer my questions, guide us in the right direction, make sure we are both set to go. If you have any tips, tricks, advice, suggestions, anything, let me know on Instagram, DM me, or in the comments below. I would love to have any and all advice that anyone can give. That is it for this video. If you want to follow me, please do so. My podcast, where I'll be talking more about this stuff as well. And on my social media, I'll be talking more about this stuff. If you have any advice, let me know. I'll talk to you all soon.